Hi everyone, welcome to a new project, and I know I just showed you a whole bunch of brand new Stamperia in a haul, but first we're going to use something older. I showed you this, which is a little December daily that I had made, and I didn't have a tutorial for it, but a number of you did express an interest in a tutorial, so I'm going to show you basics of how to make this. I am going to make It's going to be the same size, but I'm not going to put as many signatures in it because I already have one. But the only difference between the two is going to be the size of the, I just drew a blank, the size of the spine. Okay, so in order to make this, and I am looking at what I've got here. I feel like I intended to make 2 signatures, but I actually made a spine for 3, but that's all right. I can just adjust it, which will give me a chance to actually show you. I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, that's what I did. Okay, so this one, let me go back. This one has 5 signatures, okay? And I will give you all the information you need for 5, but there's no difference between making 1 or 2 or 3, however many you want. You just need to adjust the width of your spine. Okay, so here's what you're going to need if you're going to make it this size. You are going to need 2 pieces of chipboard that are 4x4. You are going to need 1 piece of lightweight chipboard that is 4x2. If you're going to make one with 3 signatures, you will need, and actually I am going to make 2 with this. You could do 2 or 3. 4x1 of lightweight chipboard. These are templates for the spine. You will, once you've made them, just set them aside, save them, because you'll be able to reuse them. They're not staying in the book. That's those. Okay? All right, then you will need, for each signature, let me just separate these out because you're going to have to, I've got enough here for 2 signatures. All right, so for each signature, you will need, move that, 2 pieces of pattern paper, 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, so you'll need 2 for each signature. So for this one, I have 5 signatures, so you will need 10 of these. Okay, I'm just going to make 2 signatures, but you'll need, if you want to make it this size, you're going to need 10 5 1/4 by 4. And then you will need, of pattern paper, the same, 2 for each signature. So 10 if you're going to do 5 signatures. Okay. And then you will also need, for each signature, the same number in whatever cardstock you're using, and I use Craft. So you'll need 2 for each signature, 5 1/4 by 4, so 10 if you're making 5 signatures, and 2 4x4, again 10 if you're making 5 signatures. Okay, that's what you'll need for your pages. Hi, y'all. Good morning. And then the other thing you're going to need is 2 pieces of stone paper. This is Stamperia stone paper. Jolly. Really. And I've only cut the first piece because the second one I'm going to cut to fit later. 5 1/2 by, well, I just left mine the full width. You're going to need 10 1/2 if you're doing a small one, 11 1/2 if you're doing a big one. All right, come on. I know. Come on. Come on. Come over here. Come on. Good girl. Okay. So that is the basics. You'll also need a little scrap of cardboard or something like that because we're going to poke some holes, and you don't want to poke a hole through your table. Okay, so there's that. The other thing that I used is a stencil for the cover. That's how I got this decorative bit on the cover. If you want to do that, you will need a stencil, and I will link the stencil that I used in the description box below. And I also used texture paste. I used Ranger texture paste. I've had this forever, but you could use whatever kind you want. So there's that. Okay. Let me set that aside. And pull over. We're going to make the cover first because it needs to dry. So remove that. So I'm making myself a little space. All right. Ink you're also going to need. Okay. So let's start with making our cover. So set aside the pieces for the pages and keep your spine and your 2 pieces of chipboard and your piece of stone paper. You can use whatever adhesive that you want. I'm just pulling over, not that, it's got writing on it. Hang on, I just need a piece of scrap paper. Just so I don't mess up my table. I ordered a glass mat and it was supposed to come yesterday, but UPS has lost it. So now I am going to use wet glue for this, but of course you can use score tape if you prefer. And I mentioned in the flip through video that I designed this after one that I saw Christina Radovan make on a Stamperia Live. So I'm just using Stamperia craft glue, but you can use whatever. And I'm using a small brush because I can't find my big one. Again, you can use just draw blank score tape if you prefer. I didn't mention the other thing that we're using is rice paper. We're going to decorate this cover with rice paper. And if you don't have the Stamperia Velo glue, which is what they recommend for the rice paper, just get a matte Mod Podge. I think it's the same thing. Or you could use gloss if you want it shiny, but I like the more matte finish. Just smooth that out a little bit. Okay. All right, and then just like any other cover that you would make, you want to place this. And actually, I lie. This is not just like every other cover you make. In the previous one that I made and the one that Christina Radovan made, she left, of course, she measures in centimeters, but approximately 1/2 inch all around. I normally leave 1 inch on my covers. So I split the difference on this and I'm making it about 3/4 of an inch. Okay, and just press that down. Excuse me. Okay. And then we are going to do the same with the second piece of chipboard. Here it is. I already made this one messy. And I have no idea what stone paper is made out of, but it's pretty neat stuff. It's very tough. You can sew it, you can machine wash it if you want to make like a article of clothing or a purse or something like that out of it. But it's really good for this because it's going to get kind of wet with the rice paper and the glue for the rice paper, the Mod Podge, or whatever you're using. So okay. that. Now, when you place this one down, what you want to do is take your chosen spine. I'm using a narrow one, but if you're making the same, you know, the December daily where you need more space, you're going to use this wide one. I'm just using my narrow one. And I will give you the sizing on that in a moment. Well, I did give you the sizing, didn't I? Okay, it's either 1 inch wide or 2 inches wide. Okay. Go. And let's see, I think I'm checking the width of this to see if I have something that's about the width I want to make it easier than having to measure. There we go. That's the width I want. And just going to use a craft knife. I'm probably making this harder than I need to, but okay. There we go. Okay. Be careful if you're using a craft knife. Don't cut yourself. Okay. Now, we're just going to hold that. That. And I think what I'll also do is see if I can find the edge. Giving it a little crease here, and then another little crease here. Just there, just to sort of pre-crease everything. Okay. There. Okay. Now, the next thing that we are going to do is cover this with our rice paper. And let me grab mine. I set it aside and I'm not sure where. Hang on. Okay. And I'm going to need some more, but I have another sheet. So this is going to go on here. Now this is going to be your front cover, this is going to be your back cover, but we are going to do this decoration to it. So I am going to actually leave most of this part on and cut off this part rather than leaving this part on because I want my stencil to show. So what I need is a piece the same width and length, so that's 5.5, and mine is 10.5 because I'm doing the narrow spine. Yours would be 11.5 if you're doing the wide spine. All right, so hang on, let me cut that. And actually, you know what? I've changed my mind. I think I'm going to wrap this and then do the rice paper. It's been a while since I made that, so I couldn't remember exactly how I did it, but I'm pretty sure that I wrapped it first. Okay. So I do need to cut my corners. Just get an idea. And this is just like wrapping any other cover. You want to make sure you don't cut too close to that corner. You want to leave about a thickness or a thickness and a half of the chipboard. You can always take some off, but you can't put it back. And this stuff is very, very thick. So this will be much easier if you pre-fold it. So just go ahead and get a crease into it first. Excuse me. Sorry, it's very early. It's 6:15 in the morning. Okay. And again, you can use tape. I'm going to use glue. This would be easier if I had my glass mat that UPS has lost. It's the weirdest thing. The company I bought it from, which after I get it, if I like it, I'll link it down below. But I don't want to link it until I'm sure I like it. But in any event, they shipped it very promptly. It was supposed to come yesterday, and it basically immediately stalled after it was shipped. It hasn't even left the state it shipped in. And UPS is like, a severe weather event may have delayed your package. And of course I immediately checked. I'm like, did I miss something? And there were no severe weather events. I had no idea. I don't know if the truck was in an accident. I don't know if they've just lost it. But the company that I bought it from is going to be checking to see what's going on. But it's the weekend now, so they're going to check on Monday for me. We'll see. And I need a baby wipe. Actually, you know what? That was a used one that I've used previously, and this is white, so I gotta get a new one. Okay. And it's all going to be covered anyway, but... And then we are going to very firmly burnish down into these creases. The other side. You can see I'm being pretty generous with the glue. I would not do this with regular paper. I think that much glue would probably get you warping. And if you don't have or can't get stone paper, you can use regular paper. I think I'd just be a little cautious about it. Maybe do some tests with your Mod Podge and stuff just to see how it goes. But you can get stone paper from Scrap and Crate. That's where I got all of my papers for this project. And the paper itself is called Make a Wish from Stamperia. The one that Christina Radovan made was bigger. She made a 6x6 and she used forest. And you can see hers in, just go to Stamperia's YouTube channel. I'll see if I can find it. I'll try to remember to link it. And you can see her project, which is really cool. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with this one. Just get that really well burnished down in the spine. You want a nice crisp spine. Okay. Okay, and then before we do the ends, I'm just going to go ahead and burnish in the spine again. Okay, and then we'll do the ends. And you do need to tuck in any little bits you have sticking out at the corners. And so far, this is, aside from the fact that we're not putting in a spine piece, it's the same as any other cover that we normally make. And I did get a new craft mat, but I didn't want to work with wet glue on my new mat, so I've got it. It's actually underneath this one. So I've got a new regular self-healing mat, which I've been needing, and I got the glass one. So, like I said, when I get the glass one, I will let you know what I think about it. Burnish that down really, really well. Okay. And we need to do this side. I feel like I cut that one a little close to the corner, but it'll be fine because it's going to be covered anyway by the rice paper. Blob of glue there. Good. Okay, so what I'm going to do real quick is wash this brush, and I'll be right back. I don't want glue to dry on this brush. Okay, set aside our spines. You're going to need these again, so don't get rid of it. Okay, so the next thing is going to be to apply our rice paper to the cover. Okay, and it's going to be kind of a similar thing. We're going to put it on, then we're going to wrap it. So for this, you can use your Mod Podge. Use a matte Mod Podge. I have some here somewhere. Did I leave it out? Here it is. Okay. Matte Mod Podge. Okay. I'm going to use Colavello rice paper glue from Stamperia, but again, I think it's just Mod Podge to tell you the truth. Just give it a shake. So I'm just using this little lid. I use it as a like a palette, paper plate will work, whatever. And you want to brush your glue. And I should have used my protective paper. Hang on. All over your cover. Probably should start in the middle, honestly, but I have started on one end. Get yourself a good coating. You're going to center your rice paper. Make sure you leave yourself enough to wrap. Okay. And then just put down your adhesive for the next section. Press it down. I think I have enough, I'm not sure. Be careful if your brush sheds, not to leave any hairs from your brush. Okay, and down. Okay. And I'm just going to give it a little light rub with that. Okay, and then turn it over. Don't worry if you get glue on it. You're going to be brushing the whole outside of it with glue anyway. Yikes. You don't really have to pre-fold this because it's so thin. I'm going to go ahead and trim my corners. I'm leaving a pretty big amount there on the corner. I can always cut it off. Just double checking. Oh, hang on. I have got wet glue up here. You definitely don't want to be up here, kiddo. Well, maybe you do, but you definitely can't be. Okay. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I'm just trimming a little bit more out of the corners. Okay. No. Come on. Come on. Okay. All right. I'm just checking myself. Okay. All right. So this is going to be exactly what we just did, but we are using just a different glue for this part. And again, you just use your Mod Podge if that's what you've got. It'll be perfectly fine. Now, a paper that is as thin as this is likely to stretch a little bit. So we're going to start in the middle and then work our way out. And I'm just putting some adhesive on the actual cover. Okay. Just going to move that. Whoa, see that? Picked it up, was not careful. Please be careful. Okay. Here we go. All right, so we're going to start in the middle and then bring it over. Okay, and don't worry about here because there's going to be a liner. Just want to make sure you get a nice edge. But this stuff's delicate once it gets wet, so you can rip it easily. Just handle it gently. Okay. And I need to switch papers. And a craft mat would be great for this. And I actually have one. I just didn't bother getting it out. Oop. Okay, and of course, if you've got, a glass mat, that would be ideal. if you're using, well, you are going to, for this you have to use a wet glue. I guess, I mean, I suppose you could put it down with something else, but to get the best effect with a rice paper, you definitely want to try to use a Mod Podge type thing. I've got a hair right there, which I suspect is a cat hair, although it might be from my brush. Okay, a little bit more glue. Actually, I think this brush is shedding. Okay. All right, and again, we are just going to gently fold it over. You don't need to be rough with it. Start at the middle, work your way out. Okay, go. That. Now we're going to do the ends, and again we're just going to fold in the ends gently, trying to avoid tearing it. Okay. Okay. Make sure you tuck in corners if you need to. Okay, here we go. Okay, that is looking good. All right, now, one last step. You want to take this and you're going to completely paint it with your Mod Podge or your Velo glue, whatever you're using. Okay, on the outside. This will seal it, and it will make it easier for us to do the stenciling step. Something there, is that a hair from my brush? Okay, or something. Actually, it almost looks like a little bit of glue. It's stuck to my fingers. You should see me off camera trying to get rid of that. Okay. And don't worry, when you put this on, it looks a little cloudy, but it dries clear. I hope I'm on camera. I just realized I've got this very close to me. Okay. And then I'm just gonna go around and make sure I've got a little on the edges. And that I don't have any really thick areas or any areas that I missed. Okay, there and then you want to remove it from this paper so you don't glue it to it. Okay, and I need to find a spot for it to dry. Usually I have a paper plate handy, but I forgot. Hang on. Well, it should be all right on here. Okay, so just set that aside to dry while we do the next step. And I am going to again go and wash this brush. Now, if you do forget to wash your brush or the glue dries on it, these are water-soluble glues. Just soak the brush, but it's just easier if you do it right away. Okay, so let's move on, clean up a little bit here, to our next step, which is going to be making the pages. Right, and for this, we are going to need a scoreboard, and you're going to need the larger pages. Remember, we cut 4x4s, and we cut 5 1/4 by 4, right? It's 5 1/4, I think. Yeah, 5 1/4. Okay, so what you want to do is take all your larger pieces and score them at 4 inches. Okay. And what you are going to do with take each of your large pieces. Okay. You're going to pair up one large and one small of the opposite type. So you're going to take a large pattern with a small craft. Large pattern, small craft, large pattern, small craft, large pattern, small craft. Okay, and then you're going to do the reverse, large craft, small pattern. Okay. Oops, I'm missing one. There we go. Okay, so these pairs are going to form our page assemblies. And here's how they work. You're going to fold on your score line, right? Then you're going to take your 4-inch piece, you're going to line it up with your edge here, and then you're going to fold this over, okay? And you'll see they're off, but that's because of the fold. But it doesn't matter, because before we do it, what we're going to do is tear these. So you're going to take your folded bit and tear off half, less than half, more than half. Each one can be different. Each one will be different because you're doing it by hand. You can use a tearing ruler if you want, but personally I just like the way it looks better that way. And then we're going to do the same. Tear off about a 1/2 inch, an inch, maybe not an inch, 3/4. You need to be able to line this up with the outer edge and then have this come over and cover it. And then when you open it, this one will be here, so you have a rough edge. So let me do one fully so you can see. So you're going to ink. one. I'm going to ink in here. And I like to just go ahead and ink both sides of every piece, get them pre-torn and pre-inked, because, let me show you. All right, so this is how, all right, hang on. All right, so this is how this was, right? And it's folded like that. But you could turn it over and fold it like that and put your craft there. So you'd open it up, see that, and see your craft. Or you can do it this way, where the craft is going to be to the outside, and you'll open it up, and you'll see this, and then the back side is the wing, right? I think I'm going to do this one. Let's see. How am I going to do that one? I think I'm going to do that one like that. Okay. All right, so the best way to do these, I just want to make sure my wing is going to be right side up. Okay. Is to simply run a bead of glue along your torn edge of each piece, just like that. And you can make these any size you want, but we're doing 4x4. And then just line up this piece, the smaller piece, with the edges here, fold that over, and now we have a page that goes like that. Okay, there's one. So that one had a larger pattern piece. So let's do one that has a larger craft piece. Same idea. So you just have to decide, fold it, burnish, tear, and I really kind of like this piece. To be there, so I'm just gonna tear off some of this. If I put that there. So what I can do with this one, I want to show you, because I don't really want to cut off the 25 and I don't want to tear much more of it. I'm just gonna slide it out. It'll be fine. And then I'll just cut off the extra from this side after. Okay? So it's very much a case of just playing around with it to get the look you want. And again, I'm just going to ink. This one I'm thinking would make, I'm going to ink this, a good first page in the book with that 25. Or if you were doing a December daily, it would make a good last page or near the last to be the last day in your book. But in any event, I don't want to lose that 25. So in this case, I'm going to line it up top to bottom, and as close as I can get it in without losing my 25. Okay, and then same thing. Go. I need to get new glue. That one is just about empty. Just like that. Okay. And then you can see it's too long here, but that's fine. I can just cut it off. We're going to trim some pages anyway, which you'll see in another step. So I'm just going to leave it for now. Okay, so now we have one where we have a larger pattern paper, and now we have one where we have a larger craft paper. All right, so that's all you have to do to all your pages. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I wanted to stop before I did this one to show you, because I didn't mention it earlier. I have been tearing all of these along the left edge of the design, only because I don't really care. I'm not that fussed about how they look. This guy, though, is like if you have something like this that you really want to feature a certain way, you can tear it on either side, and I'm just going to show you what I mean by that. So if I tear this on the left, the way I have been all along, it'll be like that, and that's fine with me because I'm probably going to make this the front page of my book. When you open the page, here's what you'll see. But if I wanted this a different way, you could tear the right side, turn it over, have this side torn so that when you opened it, you saw him, if that makes sense. Okay, just depends which side you want to glue in. Most of the time, you're not going to need to fuss about it, but you may have a specific one, and you can, of course, do it either way. So let me just do this last guy here. And this is a project you really shouldn't be obsessing too much over. Especially if you're using Stamperia paper, because it's going to come out beautiful no matter what you do. Both sides of the papers are gorgeous. Doesn't really matter all that much. Okay. And glue this one in. clean up a little of this. Alright, so now we have all our pages, and we will get back to these shortly, because what we want to do is line our cover, which we haven't done yet. And what we need is a piece of stone paper that is, I'm going to make mine 3 7/8. I think I'll make it 3 3/4 tall. Let me think, hang on. Let me think. Well, what's really determining this in my mind is my spine, so let me measure here. What I'm thinking is I know I'm going to need to make holes through the spine where these lines are. So as long as it's bigger than that, it's fine. Okay, so 3 3/4 is fine. Okay, so 3 3/4 by 8 3/4, maybe. No, I think 8 7/8. No, 8 3. I'm dithering. You can make it any size you want. All right, 3 3/4 by 8 3/4, 9 3/4 if you're making the bigger size. So let me cut that. And I have this piece of rice paper that I'm going to use for my lining. I had another piece this size. I think it was it the same? No, it was a different one that I used for this book here. And then I used the leftover from that for the outside of this cover we're making now, but I ran out. That was my last little scrap, so I'm just cutting into a new one. You'll only need one piece, though, if you're only making one. This is the A3 size. And I think if you're only making one, you can get away with the smaller size as well. And I think that trying to decide which bit I want for this liner. I don't really want to cut into this because I could probably use it for something else. And so I'm going to use this, even though it's going to be running sideways. It runs sideways anyway on this paper. All right, so I need 5 1/4, same as before, just to give me enough. Well, where did I make that? I made that 3 3 3/4. Yeah, 5 1/4. Just to to give me plenty to wrap. Set that aside. And this is 8 3/4. So 9 3/4, 10 will be fine. And just deciding which side I want to cut off. I think I better cut it from this side. Okay. Okay. So what we're going to do here is just wrap this piece with our rice paper. And so let me grab and this does make a bit of a mess of your work surface, so just use some sort of protection. And where's my bow? Oh, here it is. And again, you can use Mod Podge. Bear in mind that rice paper is sheer, so I just had a little dot of something, so I made sure to remove that because it is going to show. And I'm making sure I leave myself enough to wrap and just lay it down. Oh, I didn't do that very straight. Hang on, let's pick that up. That's pretty good. That's better. Okay. And then we're just going to continue across. And we should have done this really after we did the other part of the cover, to give it time to dry, but I was anxious to get to the pages and I forgot. Okay. Okay. Going. Don't worry if you get a little wrinkly or whatever, it's fine. That's part of the charm of doing it this way. So just gently press everything down. If you have a spot like on this corner where it wants to come up, just add a little extra glue. Okay. And we are going to do, I'm just going to wrap it. And there's so much less bulk with the tissue paper that you really can. You could even just fold it over without mitering if you want, although I am going to do a little bit of a miter. You can see it's curling, but that's okay. Okay, there we go. And let me just trim my corners out a little bit. You can see I did not center this very well on this paper. I've got a lot more on this side than I do on the other, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. And we are going to do the long sides. Oh, I forgot to trim out that corner. Hang on. careful here. It stuck a little there because my paper wasn't particularly clean. Probably should grab a new sheet. Okay. Very easy, just a little glue there. Okay. And then we're going to do the same here. Just fold this over. Try to give myself a little bit of a cleaner surface to work with. Okay. This is where having the glass mat would be so nice. I know I'm whining because UPS lost my mat, but just because you can wipe it clean every time, you know, between steps. And fold it over just like that. And I'm definitely going to get rid of these because they're sticky, eggy, fresh. Okay, now we're going to do the ends and tuck those in. You don't have to be too fussy about this. Remember, this side is going to be glued down in the book. You're never going to see it. You just want to make sure it's nice and flat. It doesn't have to look pretty. It just needs to be flat. Okay. Good. And then we're going to do the same on this side. Tuck in the little extra bits. Whoa, that was not very smart of me. Pay attention to what you're doing when you're dealing with glue. Here we go. Okay. And so that's the inside liner. There's our cover. And that is going to go here, just centered. Okay. So before we do that, because we're going to have a lot of thick layers, just want to make sure that this is bending and whatnot the way we want. It's a little tacky right now. It's not quite dry. So we can go ahead and put this in, and then I just drew a blank, and then we'll seal it with the Velo glue. You could seal it first and let it dry, or you can glue it in and then seal it. It doesn't matter. And I think for this, I'm trying to decide which glue I'm going to use. We're going to use, you can use your art glitter glue. I'm going to use, or you can use score tape if you want. I am going to use the same craft glue that I used to put the cover together. And let me grab another brush. This one's a little small, but it'll do. Okay, and you just want to brush the entire, these brushes are terrible. There's little hairs in them. They're cheap. Don't invest in super expensive brushes for glue, but you don't want the cheapest either that are going to shed fibers either. And remember, this is, you've got to put glue all the way to the edge because you're gluing this down. And again, art glitter glue, score tape would be perfectly fine for this. I think that I would probably use, if I was not using this craft glue, I think I would use art glitter glue for this, with maybe a little score tape in the spine. Whoop, that's Holly. Hi, Holly girl. My goodness, you don't usually pay us a visit while we're working. You guys, you see Jolly all the time. You don't see Holly that often. I don't know if she's going to come up, but she's down there rubbing against me. Hang on. My hand's got glue. Hard to pet you with glue. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I know. Hello. Bad timing. I got this huge thing full of wet glue. Okay. And I'm just centering this. Okay. And then I've got to pet my cat. Okay. And we are burnish this really, really well. Okay. All right. And then we want to. Hey, sweetie. She just jumped on my chair with me. Hi, baby. You're gonna come up and say hello? Yeah. Let me cover that. Okay. Hang on. Don't step in the glue, please. Hi. Let's get these brushes out of the way. Hang on, don't step in the glue. Okay. Oh, you're gonna lie down. Okay, hang on. Move that. Okay. Hi. Hello. All right. And believe it or not, Holly and Jolly are litter mates. They're sisters. And they actually look very much alike, except for the fact that Holly's so fluffy. Similar markings, similar faces. Oh, you got some glue on your tummy? Got some glue right there on your tum? Oh dear. Hang on. Yeah, you got a little bit of glue on the tum. Hang on. All right, hang on. I had to cut off that glue before it dried. Yeah. Okay. Now this, it's very easy to poke through the rice paper, but you really want to burnish well. Okay. And with this project, if things are a little wrinkly, if you get a little tear, it doesn't matter, okay? This is got a bit of a shabby look to it. That's perfectly fine. And then you can seal this inside the same way you did the outside, but you really don't have to. So I'm going to leave mine for now. I don't know if I'm going to seal mine. I can't remember if I sealed it on the other one. I'll set that aside to dry. Let me look at this one. Did I seal it? I did. Okay. So what I think... I might as well, I don't want to do it now because I have herself right here. I suppose I could. All right, hang on. Let me, that's the wrong brush. I'll grab my other brush. All right, I'm going to go ahead and seal this. Hope you can see. Sorry if you can't. Yeah, look at that hair. I think that's a cat hair. Now it's too short. It's got to come out of a brush. I know, I'm blaming you. And you want to make sure that you go over all your edges and stuff if you're going to seal it. This will make it, definitely make it tougher, and I think that's why I made the choice to do it this way. Probably also Christina did it, and if she did it, I did it. I say that, but I did change her design and the way she put her pages in, but because I didn't like. But definitely go ahead and watch her video. You might like the way she does it. And when we get to putting the pages in, I'll explain a little bit about why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, as opposed to the way she did it. Hi, baby. Oh, that's her foot. Charlie's coming to see what's going on. Okay. There is not really even room for one kitty up here. There's definitely not going to be room for two. But I think we're just about a stopping point because this has to thoroughly dry before we move on. And by thoroughly, I probably, half hour is enough, but I'm going to leave it for a few hours to make sure it's not tacky at all. Plus, it is 7:30 in the morning on Saturday, so I think I will get my laundry started. I think, like a lot of people, I do my laundry on Saturdays. Tomorrow is Easter Sunday. Today is Holy Saturday. And we are going to be going out for Easter dinner, so I don't have to do any prep for that. My sister and I decided we were kind of over cooking and cleaning for every single holiday, so we decided to go out. I don't know if you can hear that thudding. It's the wind. We've had windy weather I always have windy weather because I live near the ocean. I don't know why I say we've had windy weather. It's always windy. Okay, so I am going to set this aside to dry for several hours. I'm looking for a spot where I don't think the cats will step on it because I don't want them to. I think over here is fine. And then I will be back and show you how to put the pages in. Okay? And I don't think Holly will be here for that part. All right, we'll be back in a few seconds. Okay, I am back. I forgot, before we put the pages in, we have to put our, start decorating our cover, with our texture paste. And this is, mine is kind of dry. I've had it a long time. It would be easier to do if you had like a little palette knife or something, which I do not. I'm just using my little scraper, and then I'm going to use a plastic card. Okay. All right, so there's my texture. Any kind of texture paste will work. And what I did, here's the original, okay, is I just took this side of the stencil. Remember, this is the front cover, this is the back. And put it down near the bottom. And I wanted to get this star in. And then here's the edge of the cover, and you don't want to cross that. So I'm just putting the edge of the stencil against the edge of the, where the spine is, and then sliding it down just enough to get this whole little star on. And that's pretty good. And I think I don't really want to tape it in place because I don't want to risk damaging the cover. You could use washi tape, but I'm just gonna go ahead and hold it and hope for the best. So I'm just sort of smushing the texture paste down. You can see, like I said, my texture paste is really dry. I've had it forever. And then I'm using this plastic card to spread it. And it looks like I lifted up the stencil there a bit. It's okay if things aren't perfect. And I think, let's see if I have enough to do this tree. I think I need just a tiny bit more. Because I don't want to let go of the stencil. I don't have quite enough there. Okay. I think I kind of botched that snowflake up there, but oops, and I put my finger in the star, so let me fix that. Okay. There we go. That's not so bad. Okay. Lifted that up. Now I've got a little bit hanging over. This is still a little tacky, that's why it's stuck. I'm just going to get rid of anything sticking over the edge. That looks good. And I've got a little bit right here that I don't want. I'm just going to wipe that up. And I've got, clean this. And this is where the stencil lifted up and I got a little I didn't want. So I'm just going to lift a little there. It's fine. Okay. Now I'm going to let that dry thoroughly. And of course, I'm always putting things down where I shouldn't. Okay, I gotta go wash this. You want to wash your stencils immediately after you use them. And any tool that has the texture paste on it, wash immediately. Okay, now if I was using a wetter texture, I would be able to apply my glitter right to that, but mine is pretty dry, so I'm just gonna and the method I used is I let this thoroughly dry, Then I added a little art glitter glue, wet glue, and then sprinkled on my glitter, and that's what we're going to do. So let me set that aside. That's going to take a while to dry, but we can do a few things here with our pages while we wait for that. So what you want to do is divide up so that you have two where the larger sized paper was the craft and two where the larger sized paper was the pattern. I mean, that's how I did it. You don't have to. You can divide them up however you want, but that's how I'm doing it. All right, so I'm going to do that one, this one, and this one, because I'm only doing 2 signatures. If you are going to be making the fat album, you're going to be doing 5. And you can mess around with these for ages, but so I know I want this to be the first thing I see when I open the book. So that's going to be the outside of a signature. Then I want that. Well, if I use that, those are almost the same, so let me set that aside. Let's use that. I think I want something where I have, so you kind of have to be flexible. I want something that has the craft. So that might be a set. I didn't do very many where I had the craft. Hang on. But you know what you can do is rebend these. Okay. So, you know, if you were planning on doing it that way, just bend it the other way. All right, so we have that. We have that. What have I got there? I think that. And that. And then just flip through and see if they look the way you want. Okay, that's good. And then this one, it's going to be the second one. There we go. Okay. Now, what you want to do is make up your mind. Because once you've put these all together like this, you'll see the middle ones are sticking out because, you know, they're inside the other ones. So if you have a cutter that'll cut through this many layers and make it perfectly straight, well, by all means, feel free to do that. I don't, and I didn't feel like fussing with it that much either. So what I did is I got my little cutter, my nemesis, out. And then I just took the inmost one, the center one, stuck it in here, and cut some off. And I just, by some, I mean just a random amount. Okay. Stick that in. Okay, and then the next one that's sticking out, I took that, which is the next inmost one. And again, cut some out. These I want kind of random, so I'm just sort of eyeballing different sizes. And what would be really cute too would be to actually tear these and have a torn edge or a decal edge. Like if you have some of those retro decal edge scissors that were big in crafting for a while, use those. So that's pretty good. Some of it's out, some of it's in. It's a little random, and that's just what I want. Take the inmost one. Cut. Oh, and this was the one I shifted over, so I need to trim this one a little bit, definitely. Remember, I didn't want to cover up the 25, so I need to trim a little bit off of that. Okay. feel like one of them is sticking out. Let me see. Just looking at them to see if there's anything more I want to trim. I think I want to trim a little bit more off of this one. Okay. Looks good. Okay. So now we have, and you're going to do that to all 5 of yours if you're making the big album. Okay, get rid of those. Okay, now the next step, which I am not, well, I was just going to say I'm not going to do it on camera because I'm not going to do it in this album, but maybe I'll just do a little bit so you can see. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. All right, so what you want to do, so you can see here, I've got some stamps just around the edges of the plain pages, most of the plain pages. And I'll just do a couple so you can see, because honestly, I didn't enjoy doing it. It was kind of a pain. But what you want to do is just find a small Christmas stamp with some foliage or something, and this is kind of a dry stamp pad, which I found worked actually better for me, but you could use a wetter one. And then you're just going to press it down. You're not using a stamp block, and just add a little bit. I mean, you can use a stamp block if you want, but this is how it was done. And then we'll do a little in this corner here. And your fingers get all kind of inky, but this works well for doing this little bit, okay? So do as much or as little of that as you want on all your pages. That's all I'm doing. I don't, look, I've got ink already. Okay, let me set that aside. Okay, I gotta wash my hands now because I have ink. Keep a damp baby wipe. Ooh, keep a damp baby wipe handy, and you can just wipe your hands.